it's significant that Mueller, interviewed for the job of both FBI director and attorney general, was turned down for both positions. Thus, his own motive. Plus, he was well aware of his own culpability in the uranium one matter and other vulnerabilities in his public record. Now, what's happened, Alex, is fearing that he may be terminated, he's expanding his probe, taking on more U.S. attorneys so that he can hand off these fabricated, manufactured crimes to guarantee their prosecution, even if he is legally decapitated.
Just like he handed it off, we now learn a year ago, illegally surveilling not just Trump, but his lawyer, denying it the whole time. Let me tell you, the Democratic Party and their operatives are using intelligence agency techniques that you use to bring down foreign governments to try to harass anybody in Trump's orbit. But they don't understand it's only making us work harder, and it's backfiring. I want to talk some about that with you in the next segment, Roger, and then I'm going to let you go because you're a busy man. But you have been totally vindicated. People just joined us. Recap that for 1 minute and then get into this huge Mueller news that only you can break down, I think, from the heart of the matter, how big this is and what this signifies, that he's now having babies and metastasizing with deep state U.S. attorneys. What does that signify?
Well, Alex, just to recap, you're absolutely right. Our critics who are conducting lawfare against us in these harassment lawsuits showed their hand and proved yet again that they have no evidence of Russian collusion, collaboration with WikiLeaks, John Podesta's email, or any of that left-wing nonsense. It is very telling, though, that a story in the New York Times about Rod Rosenstein on page 1, roughly a week ago, told you the inside story. When Rosenstein wrote his memo to his client, President Trump, advocating and telling him how to fire James Comey, he didn't expect that document to be public. When it became public, Comey was exposed in front of his deep state buddies. According to the New York Times, he was despondent, he was hysterical, he was angry, and he obviously decided to square it up by appointing Robert Mueller as a special counsel to investigate the man he was angry with, Donald Trump. Now, it's significant that Mueller, interviewed for the job of both FBI director and attorney general, was turned down for both positions. Thus, his own motive. Plus, he was well aware of his own culpability in the uranium one matter and other vulnerabilities in his public record. Now, what's happened, Alex, is fearing that he may be terminated, he's expanding his probe, taking on more U.S. attorneys so that he can hand off these fabricated, manufactured crimes to guarantee their prosecution, even if he is legally decapitated.
Just like he handed it off, we now learn a year ago, illegally surveilling not just Trump, but his lawyer, denying it the whole time. Now handing that off to the New York Democrat operatives there. And so what does it signify now that Trump's former lawyer has gone on national TV and said, you know, I'll do what's right for the country. I'm not going to take a bullet for Trump now. And him now hiring Bill Clinton's former lawyer. Does that signal that Trump's lawyer is getting ready to roll?
Lanny Davis is a nice enough fellow. Lanny Davis is a good guy to meet in the green room, and he's not a bad talking head. If I were looking at many years in prison, I would not be hiring Lanny Davis as my attorney. This is about money, Alex, because Michael Cohen is looking at about $5 million in legal fees, and the Trump fund for former staffers and the Trump family do not seem inclined to help him in any way. So my guess is that Mr. Davis's representation is at a bargain basement price, and maybe we're going to find out what, if anything, Michael Cohen really knows.
Well, I mean, Davis even sounds like a double agent in the news. I mean, he's like, oh, my client might be guilty, might not, but I mean, it sounds like he's throwing him under the bus day one.
Well, he's a longtime apologist for Bill and Hillary Clinton. He is a multi-times failed congressional candidate in the Washington suburbs. He's a reliable left-wing talking head if you want somebody to gloss over Bill's rapes or Hillary's crimes. But he's not the man I would hire in a serious legal matter. These lawyers are extraordinarily expensive, as you know, between the House and the Senate inquiries, lawsuits like the one we just won by having it dismissed, and the intrusive Mueller investigation. Alex, my legal fees will hit $500,000. I know yours are going to be many times more than that because of the frivolous harassment lawsuits filed against you and InfoWars. This is a tactic of the globalist left now.
That's right.
Us, and smear our names. Speaking
of court, obviously Trump told Napolitano, you'd be my second choice, but now we think he's a little too old, maybe make him attorney general. That's what's been said at the highest level. Now we're looking at these three picks they've got. Trump narrows list for Supreme Court pick, but you're saying that there's also a senator that he just called that might be the wild card or the dark horse. But Trump narrows list for Supreme Court pick with focus on Kavanaugh and Keithledge. There's also Amy Barrett. And so out of all those three, I look at Kavanaugh in embraces and a minion of Karl Rove and being involved with the Clintons and the Vince Foster matter and his neocon heritage and his never Trump connections. I mean, this looks like a Bush dingleberry that fell very close to turd blossom.
This is very disturbing because I think he's another Souter. I think he's another John Roberts. You remember them. Those are the conservatives the Bushes put on the Supreme Court who immediately joined the liberal bloc. Kavanaugh's role in bullying, intimidating, surveilling witnesses who could disprove some of the facts regarding Vince Foster's death is deeply concerning. This guy played cleanup for the Clintons in the Vince Foster matter. He is a Bush loyalist. I really pray the president does not go there.
Sure, but what about the argument that he's at least for pro-borders? So if you're not for borders, you're not for a country. They're saying the other guy, Keithledge, is a pro-open border guy, and that the lady's, quote, too dangerous. Why is she too dangerous?
Well, I think very highly of her, but she's very devout Roman Catholic, and she has written things that would allow the left to try to make this a litmus test about abortion. Above all, the president needs a quick win. That's why I suggest...
No, that's right. Before the midterms, in case they win, which we hope doesn't happen, we don't think it's going to happen, absolutely, we need to get somebody in there.
Well, and we want somebody in the mold of his previous. I think Heathridge is closest to Gorsuch in terms of his temperament and his record. I have not looked him up on immigration issues. What you tell me is news to me. I like...
Well, what I'm told is from high-level White House sources. That's their view of this.
I like Amy Barrett, but I question whether she can be confirmed. I think Kavanaugh is a stooge for the Bush-Clinton crime syndicate. And Senator Mike Lee, who would almost certainly win Senate confirmation quickly, I think could be a dark horse. Now, I don't also agree with Lee on everything, but I fundamentally believe he is a more libertarian member of the court. I feel strongly the conservative bloc of the court needs a libertarian anchor for better balance.
Well, I'm not scared of a conservative Catholic, and her record's pretty good. And you know what? We are against abortion as a country, and I get you're more libertarian, and so am I, but I just like the woman aspect, too. And she's good looking. She's got a good record. She'd be there 30, 40 years. We put some dude in there, he'd be dead in 10 years.
I would certainly support, if that's who the president picks, trust me, that's who I will be for. I think Kavanaugh is the real danger here. He is a Bush Trojan horse. I hope the president will realize that.
No, I get what you're saying. Even though his record's not that bad, his political record of who he's affiliated with, and we know their mode, put somebody in, then they flip. Let's talk about how they're trying to launch basically civil war in this country. And at what point do we say it's a civil war? And we've got a key compilation of their threats coming up.
You know, someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
This 4th of July is special. Everybody can see it. They can feel it. The globalists are attempting to kill a worldwide awakening to their tyranny. And America, yet again, is at the heart of the resistance to the globalist. That's why this 4th of July, I'm asking all of our great supporters to think about InfoWars now more than ever. And what would the world be like if InfoWars wasn't there resisting the globalists? What would have happened if you hadn't supported InfoWars? We would not be having the victories we have today. So yes, a lot of good things are happening, but the enemy is striking back. So please, think about InfoWars and funding our operation while you get great products at the same time on this 4th of July that's so historic. We have record sales going on right now. Free shipping on hundreds of different items. More than 20 items are 50% off, like Brain Force Plus. X2 is 40% off. Knockout Sleep Aid, $17.76. Silver Bullets, $9.95 colloidal silver. And free shipping, you can't beat that. This 4th of July is special, and our sales are special to match it. InfoWarsStore.com.